Today's class at Backwoods University is going to be about pocket knives. There was a time in every boy's life that he was given a pocket knife when he was old enough to use one responsibly. And most men at the time also carried pocket knives with them all the time. Society has gotten away from the carrying of pocket knives for various reasons. However, a pocket knife is still a very handy tool to carry with you. And today's class is going to be on the basics of pocket knives. Just an introductory guide into pocket knives. There are three basic styles of pocket knives. There is the pen knife, which hinges on both ends. There is the jackknife style, which hinges on one end. These jackknives can either be a non-locking blade or, in the case of this buck, a locking blade, which means that the blade cannot close until it is released. And the third category of pocket knives, basic category of pocket knives, is a multi-function pocket knife, such as this Swiss Army knife here. Not only does it have the knife blades, but it has some other tools on it. So those are the three basic styles of pocket knives: the pen knife, the jackknife, whether it be a non-locking blade or a locking blade, and a multi-function pocket knife. There are two basic types of steel in a knife. You have either a carbon steel blade or you have a stainless steel blade. In the case of these two yellow-handled case trappers, they make it in both. And if you're in doubt as to what you have, the case is marked right here, CV for their carbon blade, and in the same location, SS for their stainless steel blade. So which steel is better, carbon steel or stainless steel? Well, the simple answer is neither one is better. They're just different. They both have pluses and minuses. The carbon steel is a tough blade. It's a durable blade, and it'll take a sharp edge, and it's relatively easy to resharpen. Of course, the trade-off is it's more prone to corrosion. The stainless steel is basically a carbon steel blade, and they add some ingredients to it to make it resist corrosion. And the drawbacks to that is it's usually not as tough of a steel as the carbon steel. Now, with both types of steels, there's several grades and several mixtures, and to be honest with you, I don't understand a lot of it. You got to be a metallurgist or whatever. But just know that there are two basic types of steel: carbon steel and stainless steel. And then in those two categories of steels, there are different types of steel, and each has its pluses and minuses. Now let's go into the parts of a pocket knife. Now, of course, you have the blade. The ends here are called bolsters. On some of the higher end knives, you'll find that they're made of brass. On some of the more inexpensive knives, they may just be made of a cheaper material. And then you have, I don't know if you can see it here. Let's see if we can get this. You have the side covers. In this case, they're wood. Then you have what is referred to as a scale, which is the brass. And then there is the center scale, and there's a spring in there also that helps assist in opening the knife. Let's see what else we have on it. This one happens to be a lock blade. You have pins that are holding on those side covers. Here are a few tips for caring for your knife. The first tip I would give anybody is to use the knife for what it was intended for. A knife is a cutting tool. It's not a pry bar. It's not, it's not a hatchet. It's not a hammer. It is a cutting tool. So that's the number one tip I would give people, is to use a knife for what it was intended for. And then after you're done using your knife, clean it off a little bit. Use a little light oil on it maybe, because even stainless steel, that's a misconception that stainless steel cannot corrode, but stainless steel is corrosion resistant. But given the right environment and an exposure to the right elements, even stainless steel can corrode. So, wipe your knife down, keep it clean. And the next thing we're going to go over is sharpening a knife. A sharp knife is much less dangerous than a dull knife. There are several ways to sharpen a knife. The different knife companies and different sharpening companies make all sorts of devices. Now you're going to pick the angle that is appropriate for the use of the knife. That's a general angle for just a pocket knife might be something like 25 degrees. And then you're going to follow the instructions on your knife sharpening device. Now, some stones are wet stones. They use water. Other stones are oil stones. They use oil. And then there's some ceramics out there, and there's also electric motorized sharpeners. Just be very careful if you use a motorized sharpener that you do not overheat the blade. By overheating the blade, you may damage that blade. So use some care no matter what method you use to sharpen. Never do anything crazy like you see a lot of real old pocket knives that were damaged because somebody took them to a grinding wheel, a bench grinder. Don't ever even think about doing something like that. You will ruin the blade. So sharpening, you're going to pick an angle that is appropriate for what you're going to use the knife for. If it's something like a fillet knife, you might have it at something like 20 degrees or something like that. A general purpose knife might be 25 degrees. So there you have it. There's some basics on pocket knives.